Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Alright, so I had a few people ask me about Master League Classic and basically if I can give you top teams on Master League to what to use for this crazy 30-second switch timer change for that's going to happen in about 5 days. Sadly, this screws you guys over the most because if you really like Master League Classic, this really creates a little bit of a problem because a lot of things in Master League do enough damage as it is. So because of that, it turns into Master League into this Melmetal debuff switch fest that you probably won't like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze the top 5 teams and give you an inch of what the best team in my opinion is for the top 5 teams in Master League Classic. So let's get started. Alright, so top team number 5 features Giratina Altered, Groudon, and Melmetal. I think this is a really good team for this 30-second timer, even though it's top 5. Because what's going to happen a lot is in Master League Classic, you're basically going to be holding your charge moves a lot. You're going to be holding your charge moves because what you need to do is basically realign your Pokemon consistently. Because your opponent's going to try to either one, switch out to avoid the matchup, or try to hopefully catch your charge move. This team doesn't let you do so forgivingly because the thing about Giratina, Altered, Groudon, and Melmetal, they all get to their charge moves very quickly. Because of this, most of these Pokemon will outpace its counter. So Giratina Altered should theoretically outpace Giratina Origins because of Dragon Claw. It's also for Groudon. Groudon should be able to outpace a lot of things as it was Metal. Basically, just hold your fire. That's the thing, and this team allows you to do so. And even if you don't, these Giratina A, Groudon, and Melmetal do enough damage to, even if you misfire on something, unless they catch it on something that's resisted, then you should be okay. As you see here, this team is it has a lot of coverage, it's really bulk, and it's pretty safe and consistent. The coverage and bulk is great because, like I said, even if you do make a mistake and fire on accident, these Pokemon have so much bulk that they should be able to survive like a shootout with other Pokemon, given that they don't have energy or shield advantage on you. As you see here against the meta scorecard, this team does very, very well. Giratina Altered might have to give you might have to be careful a little bit because Groudon and Giratina Origin can give you a little bit of a problem. However, what you can do with Giratina Altered is that you can essentially sack Giratina Altered, do as much damage as you can, and then you can send Groudon and Melmetal to clean up. The good thing about Giratina A is that unless it's what you call it, like a Togekiss, you can deal even against Togekiss, you can deal a pretty good amount of damage before it goes down. As you see here, like I mentioned, your biggest weaknesses are going to be Ho, and Groudon. Ho just because Burb does a lot of damage, but like I said, you can basically sack Gira A, force your opponent's shields, and then deal heavy damage. And then sweep with Groudon and Melmetal in the back. Even if they do catch a charge move, like I said, Gira A is pretty thick, so is Groudon and Melmetal. So make sure you be careful, hold your fire, and just make sure you realign correctly. I know it's really tempting to fire a move, but in this scenario, because the switch clock is only 30 seconds, just hold your charge moves, but this team spams so many moves that you should be able to be fine, even if, like I said, you misfire 1 or 2 shots. So, very good team, very low threat score, and because of the bulk and because of the pressure, it should do really well for you here in Master League Classic. This one features team number 4. Team number 4 features Dialga Lead, Groudon, and Ho. I'm assuming Groudon's your safe switch, or you could switch, because with Ho-Oh you could kind of... I'd be careful. This team works, but I would be careful with Ho-Oh because with the switch clock the way it is, if Ho-Oh is put into a really bad matchup like a Kyogre, you won't be able to switch out right away really fast with Ho-Oh. You're going to eat a couple of waterfalls with Kyogre. So this is one of those teams where I might not consider running it. Also, Ho-Oh is super expensive. So yeah, this team isn't really that great. In general retrospect, it has great coverage. It is very bulky. It's not very safe. That's a problem. And it's okay on consistency. And like I mentioned, if your opponent is sporting a Kyogre, you don't want to get locked into any seconds with Ho-Oh. And Brave Bird and Earthquake, even though Incinerate gets there quickly, well, not necessarily that quick. They can try to catch their, if you try, okay, so good example. For you fire Brave Bird, they catch it on their Dialga or they catch it on their Melmetal. Bad. So this one, in this case, because Master League Pokemon do so much damage already, I wouldn't worry about using this team. I wouldn't use it too much. Very low threat score, actually insanely low threat score, probably the lowest one I've ever seen in Master League itself. As you see, this team is very, very good if the switch clock wasn't 30 seconds long, because like I said, your opponent, you can try to burb out of the way. However, Ho does not do well against things like Dialga, and it doesn't do well against Kyogre. And if your opponent does catch moves, i.e. like, for example, you use Ho-Oh's Earthquake, they catch the Earthquake on their Togekiss, it's gonna kind of suck a lot. Because for Ho-Oh, if your opponent's a good player, it's pretty easy to count Ho-Oh's Incinerate. So, not a lot of, it is very safe, however, so it can still work, but I would not use this one in the 30-second time. Alright, team number 3 features Kyogre, Dialga, and Togekiss. This is something, this is a team I can actually go behind, because what this team basically goes around is fast move damage, Waterfall does heavy damage, Surf can get there decently, Dialga's Dialga, and Togekiss can charm your opponents down. So I like this team. It pretty much simplifies everything, and you don't really have to worry about, like, getting, like, people trying to flex on you. I would be careful of Melmetal, though. I guess that's why you have Dialga and Togekiss. However, Melmetal can give you a problem because of those Rock Slide and Superpowers. So just keep that in mind. It's a good team, but just be careful of Melmetal, like I said. As you see here, does very well against the immediate meta. And the only problem is Mewtwo. I would say you're okay against Mewtwo. Just be aware that it's going to deal a ton of damage before you go down. But with the switch clock at 30 seconds, you can still do something fancy like catch Side Strike on Dialga, or you can just bully through Mewtwo. So again, low threat score, but just be careful of Mewtwo. Mewtwo can do some heavy damage, and because you don't have anything that pretty much convincingly beats Mewtwo, like what's the word, like Giratina Origins or Giratina Alter, just be like, if you don't have any of those, like, just be careful of Mewtwo. Team number 2 features Giratina Origins, Dialga, and Rhyperior. I really like this team. You can still use the Rhyperior farm down strat with Melmetal and with Dialga. Just be very aware that if they fire a charge move, that they can run their clock. For example, if you do get Rhyperior and you try to do the farm down strat on Melmetal or try to lock it into Melmetal, Melmetal can escape pretty fast because those superpowers will fire off quickly. Against Dialga, I think Dialga, when it gets to its Iron Head, it can pretty much, like, switch out from there, so just be very mindful about switching out Rhyperior at the right time. Very good team, very good coverage, not very safe and consistent, but like I said, this team is basically built to target the Steel-type archetype. Rhyperior I use the Rhyperior farm down strat in my full anti-meta team in Season 1, so Rhyperior is still really good in this meta because of its ability to farm down Dialga. You can still lock it into Dialga, just be mindful that Dialga is likely going to try to switch out into Rhyperior, so just try to be careful and, like, realign. Still really like this team, very, very powerful. Only succumbs to Mamoswine and Krookodile. I wouldn't worry about those two in this meta. Unless, you could probably still Master League, you probably see, Classic Mamoswine, you could probably see it in Open Master level 50, but most of you are looking for Classic, so you probably won't see it that much. But still very powerful, still very good. Pretty high threat score compared to every other team, but like I said, general strategy is to catch the Dialga and then beat the crap out of it with Rhyperior. Again, your opponent might be able to switch out of that Rhyperior fast move lock, so just be very careful and be ready to switch once your switch timer is up. Alright, team number 1 features Machamp, Melmetal, and Snorlax. I like this team a lot. This is probably the best team in my opinion, but I would be very careful when you use it, just because you're like, for example, like with Lick Snorlax, I'm assuming Lick Snorlax is going to be, like, Snorlax is going to be your safe switch. However, for Snorlax, like, what happens is that be careful that you misfire Superpower or Body Slam. Just because, like, with Snorlax, you don't, like, it feels like you get there quickly with Lick, but you really don't. But anyways, it should be okay because all 3 of these Pokemon have an insane amount of pressure. Because they have an insane amount of pressure and they have such a wide variety of coverage, I'm pretty sure the only thing you really have to watch out for this team, well, not even Giratina, because Snorlax can effectively wall Giratina. The reason I like Snorlax a lot is because not a lot of Giratinas are using Dragon Pulse nowadays. Because of that, Snorlax effectively walls and threatens Giratina. As you see here, extreme high amounts of bulk, not too much coverage, not too safe, not too consistent. However, that's false. I really think that this team makes up for the 30-second switch timer by being a fast bullet-firing team that can essentially cover a wide variety of things. It's just not super safe because on paper, just because of, like, I'd say, like, because probably Melmetals with superpower can like shift in and out. However, you already have a lot of things because all 3 of these Pokemon have fighting moves. You can threaten Melmetal anyway, so a lot of things you can do with this team. As you see here, their biggest problems are going to be Groudon, Mewtwo, and Zekrom. Mewtwo lead will probably be your worst nightmare, just because Mewtwo, if that Mewtwo has Focus Blast. Otherwise, Melmetal and Snorlax can handle Mewtwo a little well. Not really Melmetal so much, because it takes a couple of Rock Slides to kill Mewtwo. But you still have some play against Mewtwo, even if you face one. As you see here, this team does have a variety of weaknesses, but I would say like it does really well in this Master Classic meta just because of the amount of damage it does. And with all those charge moves, that you just be careful of when your opponent tries to catch something, because these Pokemon are fairly common. Because they're fairly common, unless it's Snorlax Licks, your opponent's probably going to know when to catch on Machamp, when to catch on Melmetal. Because Machamp only takes 5 to get to Cross Chop, Melmetal takes 5 to get the Thunder Shock. So it's pretty easy. If your opponent knows the basics of Master League, which is why they're playing it, then they should be able to know how much energy and be aware. So just be very careful that you pull the trigger on the right Pokemon. As you see here, very high threat score. However, this is the most powerful team, and for good reason. This team has an insane amount of pressure, and over time, that pressure stacks up. So even though it, like you said, like it says here for Groudon, Mewtwo, it's not a bad thing with Groudon. It's not actually that bad, because with Groudon, you can bully your way through Groudon with 2 shields. So this team is very powerful, and I really like it for this meta. The only thing you just have to be careful is, like I said, just hold the trigger. Be very careful when you fire a charge move. Even though these Pokemon do get to their charge moves very quickly, you don't want to misfire a double superpower on something else. You know what I mean? Because usually what Melmetal users will do is double superpower, back-to-back superpowers, so just be careful of firing. That's all I really recommend. But other than that, this is the most powerful team statistically in Open Master League, and I really like it for the 30-second switch clock. Lots of pressure, lots of damage, and even if you misfire one charge move, you should be okay. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I hope this video helps you guys out, helps all of you that are doing Master League Classic out. The key to Masters Classic is to really hold your charge moves and really be around the switch. Great League's really chaotic because of weather balls, so you can there's going to be a lot of moments where you're going to freeze the timer and you have chances to realign. Master League, because everything does so much damage, you won't really get that chance. You'll get but yeah, just be careful. Make sure you switch in and realign correctly immediately, because like I said, so many things do damage in Master League. You don't want to get caught slipping and say like a Giratina Origins nukes your Togekiss with a Shadow Ball or something of that sort. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, as you see here, based on ratings, the #1 team is insanely powerful, which is really good compared to the rest of it. And because it's a low usage, someone did invent this team, and it's pretty freaking good. I do heavily recommend Team 1 as well as Team number 5. You can use Teams 2 through 4, however, statistically they're good, and I like the amount of pressure Team 1 through 5 presents. You can use Dialga, just keep in mind that if you, just keep in mind just the amount of damage, because Dialga can still be prone to the Rhyperior farm down strat, or you can still get superpowered in the face. But high pressure, high damage is the way to go, and Team 1 through 5 does really well doing that. Again, just make sure you realign correctly. Make sure you hold your trigger finger, because I know it's tempting to fire your moves right away. I have a hard time doing it, just because people don't catch on me per se, but I take 2 seconds I'll take 2 seconds, I'll be like, okay, I can run the clock and then fire, but this isn't this, again, it's 60 seconds, not 30 seconds. If you guys haven't done so yet, please like and subscribe. I do things like this all the time. Hopefully this does help those of you that are asking me in Master League Classic. It's the best I can provide, but like I said, Team 1 through 5, these 5 teams will definitely do you well. Just be careful, like I said, hold your trigger finger, make sure you switch immediately, and just be aware when your clock is up, and you should be alright. Everything in Master League does so much damage that you can kind of forgive it that someone they catch something, but you don't want to be stuck in a super negative matchup for a very long time. A good example would probably be Machamp against Togekiss. Anyways, again, I hope you guys good luck on your Go Battle League sets. Hopefully this video did help you out, and I'll see you guys on the next video.